Welcome back to Silverstone for the final race of the Porsche Club Championship for 2012. The cars lined up on the grid for the last time this year. Peter Morris on pole position again. Mark McAleer is next to him. Mark Proctor and Marcus Carneal on row 2. Taking the Class 2 pole once again, Alex Eacock. Paul Follett a little bit closer to him this time, immediately behind him. Mark Kerberly in the mix as well, back on row 14. 27 starters in this race, the last one of the season as we mentioned, and it is down to a shootout for one race. That's exactly how championships should be, and that's what we've got this weekend for you here from Silverstone. So a little bit of a rerun of race number 1. Front row of the grid, Peter Morris, Mark McAleer. Mark McAleer in white, Peter Morris in the Union Flag livery car. This is the view from Marcus Carneal. He'll be hoping to get the better of teammate Ben Demetriou again. They're side by side from the second row of the grid. Looks like a cracking start by absolutely everyone. Mark Kerberly there in 87, around the outside of Alex Eacock in car number 5. So the Class 2 honours being fought out midfield. On board with Ben Demetriou running well. Ben's got up into third position. Now what's happened to Mark Proctor? Can't see Procky anywhere, but Demetriou third, Mark McAleer second, and Peter Morris out front. Mark Kerberly in black chasing the yellow and black car of Steve Cheetham. So plenty of racing to be had. Again, the invitation cars running in a separate grid on their own up front. Those three cars, Gary Marsh, Graham Knight we saw in race 1, and Kieran Brewer, I think we caught a glimpse of him race number 1 as well. And now a challenge on for that second position. Ben Demetriou challenging hard on Mark McAleer. Looks down on the inside line. That's going to change for the outside for the next part of the track. There's the race leader ahead of us. Now Ben's got the outside line for this corner, and Mark McAleer will know that. Mark, a vastly experienced Porsche driver, and regain second place. Oh, and Demetriou is off with his teammate Marcus Carneal. They're going to get back on as quickly as they can, coming through Club Corner. This is the view from John McCullough, and we've got dicing in front of him Lee Atkins in red, Chris Dyer in the orange and white number 9 Strasser car, and down on the inside, is he going to go through? Coming up through Farm Curve, heading down towards Village. Side-by-side action. This is superb stuff. A four-way scrap here. This is exactly what the championship's all about. If you haven't been to see the cars racing, we've had 2 shows on motors. This is exactly what you'll see on race day. And this is one of the longer circuits that we're racing on the same weekend as the Brit Car 24 Hours. So a prestige meeting, this one. And back on board with Ben Demetriou, trying to get past his teammate, coming down the Wellington Straight. What a cracking battle that we've got between all the Boxster S's. Look at this, 3 wide at pace as they come into the complex. Up ahead of them is Alex Eacock, heading for the overall championship as well as Class 2 championship points. If I could reflect on those for a moment, as Steve Cheetham looks to the outside of Chris Dyer, has to give best to that. This is the view from our pit wall camera, and the race leader is Peter Morris. Mark McAleer in second. Well, brilliant racing going on all the way here. Up into 5th position there is car number 9 Chris Dyer. Now championship wise, let me tell you that Pete Morris has 344 points coming into this one, and that he doesn't have to drop any scores, so he's got the championship lead, as you heard in the interviews after race 1. Mark McAleer second, 319 on drop scores, 327 gross on 336 points. But dropping 30 is Mark Proctor, and Mark Proctor's had a problem, and that's going to be a DNF, I think, for Mark Proctor today. Certainly not out there. Now in Class 2, Alex Eacock on 369 straight points. Looks like he's going to be the overall champion. Paul Follett has 406 points in total, very consistent, and that will drop him back with drop scores to 364. So it looks like, just to summarise, unless we get any retirements in that one, this is going to be the big key thing, is retirements in this race. Alex Eacock, in theory, should take the Class 2 championship and the overall title. Peter Morris is gunning for Class 1 honours. There in car number 99 is Marcus Carneal, who's having a good scrap at the moment. Got clear of this man, Ben Demetriou, we're on board with, down the international pit straight, up in towards Abbey Corner. Ben Demetriou, remember seeing him race Caterham's a good few years ago, and he's a very handy sports car driver, Ben. loves his racing, thoroughly enjoying the Porsche Championship. Racing hard with Lee Atkins there in 38. Marcus Carneal ahead of them. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to Steve Cheetham in 43. Back with our race leaders though, and it's still Peter Morris there. Is he going to be able to make it a treble this weekend? You've got to say Mark McAleer really keeping him honest here. So it was down, that little moment off the top spot in race number 1, we think was down to having new tyres, hadn't been completely scrubbed in, but he did get the pace back. Mark McAleer never ever far away. You've got to say he's definitely quite happy to take the battle back to him. So they're closing up now on the yellow invitation class cars. We go back on board with this battle with Chris Dyer in car number 9, runs a little bit wide. There is Dyer just ahead of this battle. John McCullough it was that he's still very much involved with the mid-order here. Very, very crowded indeed. And at the moment, Steve Cheetham busy chasing Ben Demetriou down. Marcus Carneal with the green mirrors, I remind you, is still there in front. Here he comes down the straight, so Carneal is there, but now coming down the inside is John McCullough, and it looks like McCullough's going to go through. 3 wide as they come down the hanger straight. And how's this one going to pan out? McCullough's managed to make it through and past Marcus Carneal. Very good manoeuvre there. So this is the view from Carneal. He's got a bit of work to do now as they come down in towards Club Corner. Parks himself. Well, he's on the outside line. This may give him a little bit more speed on the exit and perhaps a better run up the international straight. As we go, Mark McAleer comes through into the lead. Back at the sharp end, Mark McAleer's got the lead. Well, it's no question it's not cold tyres here for sure, because we're away into the race now. Things have settled down and Peter Morris loses the race lead. He won't lose the championship lead, and maybe he's got that in mind. But the key thing there is that, of course, we've got the matter of pride. Racing pride at stake here, because Peter Morris wants to make it a perfect weekend with 3 wins out of 3. But it's McAleer who's literally lighting up the track at the moment in the 14 car, who's looking for his 2nd win of the season. Peter Morris down behind him into the complex. These two away from the field, and they're far enough away to very much engage in their own battle without endangering the lead that they've got over the cars behind, which they're building quite significantly. Marcus Carneal at the moment and company dicing over that 3rd place. So they're catching Graham Knight now, who's the 2nd of the invitation runners. So they'll start to close down. On him. This is the only real thing they've got to worry about, and it's only 3 cars in the invitation class, so not any 4 cars in the invitation class, so no real problems at all for the front runners. They're not going to get mixed up with any masses of traffic to interfere with the race as we go on board with Ben Demetriou once again, chasing Chris Dyer in front. The orange and white car drop a little bit further back, and we pick up the 2nd place car that you saw going through there, the man who looks like he's going to take the championship, Alex Eacock. Back with the race leaders though. Again, you can see nothing in terms of traffic for them to worry about. Graham Knight looming, and Peter Morris really putting the pressure on. This is great aggressive driving for Morris. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to be this aggressive. You heard him say that if he gets a DNF, if he throws it off, if there's a mechanical failure on the car, he will lose the championship, especially if McAleer stays on. Now they're coming through back marker traffic. The flowery livery there is Kareem Moody. Car number 81, terrific livery on the car. Looks flowery, it's actually geometric shapes on the car, but he is, I think, behaving himself pretty well. We'll let the race leaders through as we go back and see Chris Dyer. Still there, the man from Keighley, the Class 2 club champion, 2010 and 2011. Overall champion in 2010, of course. Here's the view from Ben Demetriou, trying to close down on his teammate. Again, Marcus Carneal still ahead of Ben at the moment. Good crowded traffic here that we've got. you can get that if you've got a big field and racing on the Grand Prix circuit. There aren't too many formally that can turn that in. 43 Steve Cheetham goes a little bit wide. Lee Atkins in the mix as well. Alex Eacock down behind these runners is still the leading Class 2 man. Of course, he won't want to get too involved either. 77 is Ryan Licorice, running down towards the back of the field, and about 5th or 6th position at the moment in Class 2, so not a bad track position for him to be in. And let's take a moment to go on board with Windy Miller Racing, coming down the Wellington Straight, and chasing the 24 car of Hugo Holmes, who's in front. So nice to get an opportunity to see some of the other drivers racing. Hugo's had a not bad season, running in 6th position in the championship. Ryan Licorice 3 places behind him in the championship table coming into this one. As we go back to this crowded bunch of cars still very much involved in their racing. Kevin Harrison in 64 found himself a non-finisher with 1 lap to go in that first race that we saw. Here's Mark Kirby once again, still running in 2nd position in class and having a look at the class leader in front of him. But back in front, Peter Morris. So Peter Morris back in front of this one, and Mark McAleer just half a second or so behind at the moment as they come into the complex. But Morris, much faster track than we had yesterday. Is Morris going to hang on for another win? Join us after the break for the conclusion of the championship.